Right.
Ooh.
Welcome to the Bladtcast. Very excited to be here talking to each and every one of you, but most excited to be meeting for the first time in my life the one and only, the greatest podcaster in the world today, Cardiff Electric. Cardiff, thank you for being on with us today.
This must be an exciting day for you.
Oh, it is, because I will
Yes.
tell you, my week started. Well, I'll tell you why this is going to be a high point of the week. Tomorrow, I'm going to go and see the new Transformers movie at 10 a.m., so that's
Mm-hmm.
probably not going to be
Mm-hmm.
great.
It is Pride
And
Month.
it's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have one too. So I might occasionally give you a bell when when the time is appropriate.
That's a
And that
nice
was
bell. Is that a GG72?
no, it's a
Oh.
it's a GG63 actually, but this
Oh,
was
very
given
nice.
to me by one of our most loyal fans of my podcast for 100 episodes of the Bladtcast, and we're now at 545. So this is a very treasured. It's a family heirloom. My children will get it one day,
What has he done
but
for you lately, as they say?
he lives in Kansas City, so he
Oh,
sends us Kansas City barbecue once a year.
very
So
nice.
you know,
I
but
like how you're a very professional broadcaster, and you're going to have to deal with me interrupting you every 3 seconds. Let's see how this goes.
I've done shows with Carl
What?
Hamburger. I know how it
Oh,
goes.
yeah, that's true.
It's a great point. So I started this week by seeing this movie, which we'll talk about in a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
The Machine. And I thought you and I had a great exchange over there on Twitter. And I slid into Cardiff's DMs and I was like,
Mm.
hey, I know how you feel about Bert. Do you want to come and talk about the movie? And your first question was, do I have to see it? And I was like, oh, no, that's fine. I wouldn't make you do that. You
Yes,
know,
no.
so,
And
but
it's pronounced the Machine.
it is the Machine. I know you're
Yes.
right. It's
Mm-hmm.
true, but that's probably the sound that the studio made when they saw the box office receipts was the there. The Machine.
What did they expect though?
I,
Really?
I don't know. I mean, they delayed this movie because of Ukraine. They're supposed to come out like more than a year ago, and then they were like, "Oh no, that's the problem." I think I look. I don't want to get all political on you, Cardiff, but which is the greater tragedy? What's happening in Ukraine, or the fact that this movie came out? You don't have to answer. I just want to
Call
put it out there to
it's a
people
column
know.
A, column B kind of situation.
Yeah,
But they really should have just released it at the start of the war, just so at least there was a oh well, the war.
yeah. Just imagine how many people
Mm-hmm.
wanted to see Bert and Mark Hamill. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll talk about Bert because maybe not everybody knows Bert and they might not know how you feel about him. But anybody who does know about Bert knows this story. But I want to talk about how you first came on my radar thanks to a show called Who Are
I
These
never came
Podcasts?
on your radar.
You just
No.
that's a bell. You get a
Yes.
bell for that.
Thank you.
You arrived on the scene. That's where I
Yes.
first started to notice you. You started, and let's be honest. There's a moment in the history of Who Are These Podcasts that's before Cardiff started making games and making appearances on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that the Cardiff era is really what people I think are going to talk about. It'll be like the Simpsons season 4 or like Empire Strikes Back. It's going to be like one of those things. It's like, oh yeah, it really changed for the better at that point.
I completely agree with you. Carl would be nothing without me. Yes. Please continue. Yes.
I think Carl doesn't want to admit that, but he
Yes.
might know it. But talk a little bit about how you got to know him and what the Dabbleverse is. So Cardiff, like myself, huge fan of Howard Stern back in the day when there was a
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
show to really be a fan of. A little bit less now, but Stuttering John Melendez was,
Yes.
I think, a figure that was an important part of that show. And listening to him harass celebrities on red carpets or chasing after them down the street was very entertaining radio.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to talk about a second and third act that didn't quite live up to the
No.
possible potential.
No.
That would be Stuttering John Melendez, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yes. Now, really, I think I don't want to go too deep into the Cardiff lure or lore, as they say.
Yeah.
I've committed my entire backstory to the great Dr. Steve. He will be doing an unmasked very soon. So I would urge you to subscribe to his Patreon because that will be, when I say very soon, we've been talking about doing it for like 6 months and
Sure. Yeah.
we still haven't decided on doing it. But one day, but I will say I was introduced to WATP by a friend of yours, Mr. Eric Nagel.
Oh, Erock himself, yes.
Erock himself mentioned the show on his podcast, which I am a loyal listener of. And he talked about this little podcast that kind of has taken the Jocktober format. And it was, I believe early in the pandemic. And I was like, ooh, content. Jocktober. I miss Opie and Anthony. Okay, let's check this out. And I was immediately drawn in. And Stuttering John, again, being an old Howard Stern fan, it was very interesting what was going on. I didn't know he was, doing anything at all.
And, I think most people didn't know that he was doing Beer on the Balcony, and then he did 3 episodes of like a History of Howard Stern show, and then there was the political show. You want to talk about generating content. Stuttering John was putting a lot of stuff out there, and I guess it reached a moment where everyone was making money off of it except for John. So he's like, well, I'm just going to stop. He literally took his ball and went home.
Yes.
Yes. So
that was much later though. Early on, he was still, I believe he felt he was still a celebrity. He was still had a show. He was doing some stuff, but I really thought it would be fun to almost become the Stuttering John to Stuttering John. And I don't want to make it sound like I really had this all planned out. Like I just started messing with him on Twitter and like pretending to be his number one fan. I got in his chats and I was writing jokes for him and
and then you got blocked.
Then I got blocked. Things turned.
Yeah.
I think he figured out my ruse, and he's a smart one, that Stuttering John.
Yeah,
but I really was a fan back in the day. Like it was him on Stern, and those years of Stern were great, and him on there as a shit stir were great. I mean, yeah, he was probably a piece of garbage most of the time, but still, it was fun to listen to.
Yeah, absolutely. And nobody raised a coffee mug the way he did on the Tonight Show either. Let's give him his props there for that.
That was good.
Yeah, and you currently you do a show that I enjoy very much called Subreddit Surfing, which I believe is settled into Fridays at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. That's correct?
We've committed to having the show on either between Monday and Sunday at some point, yes. Yeah. But yes, we're trying to get back to the Wednesday routine. Summer's a little rough. Vinny's busy. I'm busy. Everyone's busy. But we are doing our best to have a regular Wednesday evening show. So the Saturday morning shows were fun. I know you enjoyed waking up.
Oh, I love the fact that you started at 6 a.m. and I didn't get to be a part of the roll call, which, I know Trucker Andy doesn't like the roll call, and I know he was on the most recent episode, but there's something, it's very simple. It's like the dopamine of like, hey, the thing I'm watching, they just said my name. That's all we need. And by the way, speaking of that, let's go full
Bill
Kevin
Loney.
Brennan here and interrupt the conversation. Bill Loney, $5 super chat. Hey Cardiff, hi Blatt, and you're streaming this on your channel as well, so you get all that super chat money because my channel's not set up for super chat. I won't make you share it with Vinny. That's also it's like a celebrity in here. The fact that Kinky Loco is here saying hello. I love that Kinky Loco's here, and we'll see what everybody else is up to. But if
you're watching on my channel, come over to Bladtcast, subscribe and like and do all that stuff.
Yes,
give the man I just met for the first time now.
For the very first time.
A couple views, yeah.
But you also did a huge favor for me one of the most recent times I was on Who Are These Podcasts. I came up with an idea for a game, literally stealing your intellectual property. And instead of suing me like someone might have, you embraced my idea. And I have to say, you took my idea and made it better.
Of course.
You rewrote it a little bit, you renamed it. And we had some fun with a little game for a really bad podcast called Why Mommy Drinks. And I'm forever in your debt.
Yes. Thank you.
You handsome potato.
You're still getting a cease and desist though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I feel like I wouldn't know you if I never got a cease and desist. Yes. But just to circle back to Subreddit Surfing before we start talking about Bert Kreischer. What exactly is subreddit surfing for maybe people that don't understand the word subreddit? They probably know surfing, but maybe they can't put the two together.
Well, let me ask, do you really want to know what it was intended to be or has been, because those are two different things that we're
I would
trying
like to hear
to
both,
navigate.
actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I definitely want to. Yeah, like how Happy Days was supposed to be about Richie, and then it was like, oh no, but it's
it
really
was
about
this Fonzie
Fonzie.
guy, yeah.
Yeah,
So initially the intent was, there's a lot of crazy, interesting subreddits out there. Almost the if you remember Coast to Coast AM, kind of just the, you could have a crazy guest on every 5 minutes, the callers, just different topics, but all a little counterculture kind of stuff.
yeah,
And Reddit, if you've never been on there, like John, is a place where that stuff thrives, grows, like a virus almost. So I thought it would be interesting to explore some of these subreddits, as they're called, on a show, and maybe just throw a StreamYard link on that subreddit and have people from that subreddit come on and talk about whatever it was. Like our first episode was meth. So hey, let's get people in the meth subreddit to come on and talk about meth and why they're on meth and all, their different experiences, whatever subreddit we would go in. I kind of, that was the concept, where we'd get people from that subreddit to come on and talk about it.
and I think that, and I've said this to both you and Vinny. I think that the reason the show works is that you're not doing this to trick people. And like they come on and you immediately start making fun of them for being meth heads. It's a lot of like, except for the anti-work people, fuck them. That they were like some of the worst people. That I didn't enjoy what they had to say. But like
we listened. We listened.
Yeah, you listen. But the real doll people, Bigfoot, and you just like, okay, why are you interested in this? And a lot of times those answers can actually be pretty fascinating. Why somebody's so committed to Bigfoot and all of that. So
Yes.
It's a great show. People can find all the episodes. They I'll even recommend that they become a big kahuna, which is the members. And
you want to talk about the added benefit?
Yeah. Oh, please talk about the added benefit. Well, I know what the added benefit is.
I think you've experienced it already.
I have, yes.
Yes. For every month you're a big kahuna, you get you grow 1 inch in penis size. So congratulations to all the. That's why they're called big kahunas. But yes, as you saw, getting guests from a Reddit, because I think everybody does think that we're tricking them, or we're gonna have them on and make fun of them or yell at them, or people are and moderators love to get involved too in these subreddits. So getting guests from these subreddits has been a little trickier than we had imagined.
Yeah, and I think some of them you can understand them being more protective. But I remember you and Vinny were talking about, you were trying to get one that was like waiters or something, and like those mods wouldn't let you reach out to people. It was like
Tales from the Front Desk.
That's Tales from the front
desk. Hotel employees. Yeah, they shut us down so quickly. Yeah, so fuck them.
Cardiff got a super sticker. Speaking of giving him money, from Deadpool, 1999. So thank you. And Bedabbler is here. Should I take that comment down because it's from Bedabbler?
Do you have
is
a
it
moderator?
Not worth reading?
Can you block him?
Yeah. It's okay. He's blocked.
He's okay, but fuck Tukey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. But there'll be there's no surprise where, as you call him, Dookie is going to show up on this show. But maybe the next time we talk, Tukey will be there, or maybe Tukey will be on next week. But
I hope to have Tukey on an upcoming episode of Subreddit Surfing about autoerotic asphyxiation gone wrong.
Mm-hmm. I want to sort of move to what we want to focus on for at least a little bit here. I was well aware that you are not a fan of the comedian Bert Kreischer.
Oh, no, he stinks.
Yeah. And is it something where you saw him once or twice and you're like, oh, he's okay, and then you turned on him, or did you see him the first time and go like, oh, this guy sucks?
I want to say it was the first 3 minutes. I believe it was an Opie and Anthony appearance, or could have been Opie and Jim. I think it was Opie and Anthony though, the first time I heard him, and obviously he went into the McKine story. Yeah. And I didn't believe a word that came out of his mouth. The laughing at everything he says, it was just very immediately. I had a very, very bad taste in my mouth with this guy. This guy was not funny. Not funny in a lot of ways. And then it was one of those things where I kind of looked at it like, how is how is this guy so successful in comedy? How does he have so many, big
Yeah.
friends around him? How? Why?
Yeah.
None of it made any sense. And then the story itself, when I heard they were making a movie about that bullshit story that, again, I've tried to avoid this guy as much as possible, but I've probably heard the story 42 times on different
Yeah.
shows and podcasts, and the fact
My
that he tells
understanding
it.
is that if you go and see him do stand up, I think a lot of time he still tells it because it's like playing your greatest hits. It's like how Andrew Dice Clay,
The
even to
nursery
this day,
rhymes.
still does the nursery rhymes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, they're here for it, but he also kind of lets you finish the nursery rhyme. He knows what he's doing. I saw him within the last 5 years, and I'm like, all right, I get it. I know why he's doing this, but Bert doesn't let the crowd finish the story, except I feel like at this point, most of us probably could, because he's told it so many times.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think at a certain point, no matter how good your story is, you can retire it, and especially when you turn it into a movie. But I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't have much else. Do you feel like this is, he's got like the 1 hour of material, and that's why he sticks with it?
I would imagine it has to be the case. It has to be, but again, it's not. I don't even think it's a great story. Like, it just sounds like there's a spots when he tells the story where you think there's a big moment coming in, and no, we drank more. Okay, yeah. I took my shirt off. Oh, okay.
So, my friend Eric Connor with a very important observation. Yeah. It is just like the Stuttering John squeegee bit. You get a bell for that, Eric. Absolutely.
I own that bit now, but it was stolen from me by one of your chatters here, Kinky Loco.
Kinky Loco.
He stole my bit.
Yeah.
Literally, he stole my bit. Like,
he stole your bit.
Yeah, the cue cards I wrote the bit on, he stole.
Right, because you were going to do all of John's material in front of a crowd, and he stole your cue cards.
Yes.
Wow.
So, yeah.
All right. So that's you might have to go to Cardiff's court to settle that one then. If
Dabble Court. Yes.
Dabble Court. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. I was trying to rebrand it and put your name front and center. So obviously you haven't seen this movie, but because you've heard the story, there's going to be a lot of elements to it that you could probably write some bullet points and be like, I bet I know what happens in this movie. And having not seen the movie, I'll tell you a little bit about it because I did see the movie.
I will let you know. I did do a stream on I covered the trailer when that was released a few months back.
Right. So you have a sense for it. And
I saw more than I wanted to see.
The 2 minutes was already too much. Yes. So the important question I have to ask you, Cardiff, is if Bert Kreischer is making a movie, who do you think Bert Kreischer would play in that movie?
The hero.
Yeah, but also he plays the only thing he could play. He plays Bert Kreischer. Yes. He's Bert Kreischer in this movie. Yeah. And he's the one thing about this movie that made me want to kind of live inside of it. He's retired from stand-up comedy in this movie. So he wasn't performing anymore because he got too drunk and his daughter got in trouble with the police because he was too drunk. So he had her drive home.
So there's a happy ending. He's retired from stand-up comedy.
Well, no, it's a happy beginning because by the end of it, Bert gets his groove back and he's ready to go back out there. But
can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Does he borrow a line from Godfather 3 at any point in the movie?
That every time he thinks he gets out, the Machine keeps pulling him back in. He does not say that.
Oh, okay, good. That would have been.
Yeah.
That would have been a just one straw, the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah. So I took some notes on my phone while I was watching the movie. Believe it or not, there were other people in the theater when I saw it on Monday morning.
Homeless people?
I mean, I think they had to pay to buy a ticket, or they did it the way I did, and they have the AMC A list, so it was already paid for. But there were 3 other people in there, so I kind of sat in the back. I didn't want the light from my phone to distract them from the great cinematic work. And character interactions would include things like Bert says "fuck you," and then the person talking back to him says "fuck off." So there's a lot of like "fuck you, fuck off." So there's a lot of stuff like that. It's the level that you would kind of expect, and it didn't have the line that you said from The Godfather 3, but I made sure I got this right. He says, I'm the machine on stage. I'm the machine off stage." And that's the reason why he needed to kind of better himself and stop being the machine. So that was the heavy drama point. He's in therapy.
Oh,
His family's in therapy with him. And, he's his dad is played by Mark Hamill in this movie, which you know from the trailer. And I don't think I've ever felt worse for Mark Hamill, even after he was in the car accident after Star Wars, even after he was in the Star Wars Christmas special in 1978, which, maybe only nerds like me and Carl Hamburger know about, but
I've seen it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I mean, it's rough. I mean, Carrie Fisher sings, he's made up like like a funeral parlor kind of painted on some makeup. It's I think that that's a much prouder moment than his work in this film, because he plays Bert's dad, and he goes on the adventure with him to Russia, because this like old Russian mobster sees video of Bert telling the machine story, and he's like, "Oh my God, it's the machine!" And he wants to have him basically kidnapped by his daughter, who is also a Russian gangster.
Wasn't there something where he took something in the initial?
Yeah.
Yeah, they wanted
So
it back.
when they held up the train, and he robbed all of his friends that he was on vacation with, that he was studying abroad with, he also got this watch that was this woman's father's watch, who apparently at that time, he was not a mobster yet. However, having the watch stole from him made him realize that he needed to turn to a life of crime. So, yeah. So
it's like the butterfly effect.
Yeah, exactly.
If he could go back in time and not steal the watch, what would have?
Yeah, what would have happened? The world would have been a better place. It's the killing baby Hitler moment.
Yes, if you could go back and kill baby Bert Kreischer, would you, Christian Blatt, to save yourself?
No, but maybe I would. I would pay for him to go to, I don't know, like law school or something. Before he discovers partying. Because they have an actor who also plays young Bert in flashback sequences, and there's a plot point where Bert eats a 20-year-old pot brownie, which probably sounds like it's executed in the film. It's terrible. It's not funny, but he talks to his 20-year-old version of himself. And so not only did you miss seeing Bert on screen, you missed seeing two Berts on screen at the same time.
There's only one thing worse than Bert.
Two Berts.
Two Berts.
Two Berts, one cup. That might be the worst thing.
I would like to thank you for the placement of the backdrop here, as you've left just enough of his right nipple exposed to.
Just enough.
Enough.
I wanted to make sure. Yeah, it's the same picture I have behind me, so I can always kind of pop out, and if you need Bert to flash the audience. But so I don't know who this movie is for. I mean, I guess fans of Bert Kreischer, but they clearly didn't go and see it. I don't know that anybody wanted it, and I know it's not going to be surprising to you who doesn't like Bert, and I'm not particularly. I think he's an okay guest. Some appearances I've heard him, like within the last year, I think he was on with Jim and Sam, and he didn't tell the machine story, so sometimes it's interesting. Not usually, but sometimes it can be.
He didn't tell the machine story.
He did not tell the machine story.
I think
Jim doesn't. I don't think Jim wants to hear it again.
He may have been on a what's it called, like a. He didn't want they maybe the studio made him stop telling the story for a while to build some. They built some demand. People were like, "We haven't heard the machine story in so long. When will we be able to hear the machine story again?" An embargo. That's it. Embargo. That's
the embargo. Comment from the chat. This chat has more people in it than theaters for this. Do we use the R word on Cardiff stream?
Maybe on your channel, but not here.
Okay, so yeah, this chat has more people in it than the theaters for this developmentally disabled movie.
We
Thank
call
you.
it Kreischer.
Oh,
Kreischer movie.
the Kreischer
Yeah.
crowd. Um, and but I mean, Waver's not wrong. Did you ever hear Bert's Will Smith story? I've heard it 3 times, so it was kind of amusing the first time. But you know what would have made Bert's Will Smith story good is if at the end of the story Bert had been fucked by Will Smith, because the whole time that's what he like is building us up to, and then he just lets us down, and Will Smith has him over to watch a movie. And I was like, all right, Bert, you didn't even have the payoff, but nor did this movie. And that's the point I was trying to make, Cardiff, is that there are so few jokes in this movie, like actual, like written jokes. There's sight gags. Somebody's dick gets blown off at one point, and they hold up like a dick and balls. So it's probably kind of like what it would feel like if this movie had come out in an earlier generation and you'd be flipping through the shelves at Blockbuster Video and you came across a VHS of The Machine. It would be like holding the dick and balls. It would be like holding Bert Kreischer's The Machine. And it's like, I'm gonna spoil the fact that I think it's actually in the trailer, the Red Band trailer. Mark Hamill does a lot of drugs at one point, so that helps him be able to fight mobsters. And Bert drinks a lot of vodka, and that helps him be able to fight mobsters as well. So
it's his superpower. It's a spinach.
It's exactly.
Yes.
I mean, they kind of play it like that, but they don't license the Popeye theme, which would have been a moment. But somehow Bert's face is on these bottles of vodka throughout Russia. He's like kind of like a cartoon celebrity because he's this mythic folk hero. And so as soon as that's introduced, you're like, all right, so I feel like this mobster could have found him much easier if he knows what Bert looks like. But I'm not here to poke holes into Bert's movie. I'm an observe and report type here with this movie. I'll let people draw their own conclusions.
Do you think in the ongoing dispute between the Writers Guild and whoever they're disputing with,
the producers
sure.
and
the producers, studios, I guess.
Yeah.
If they go to like arbitration, do you think the producers are going to just present this movie as their evidence? Like, we can't pay for shit like this anymore.
I mean,
you want us to pay how much for this?
Yeah. I think that it's probably going, whenever the deal is settled, and my wife is a television writer.
Apologies.
She's very successful. She's very successful at it. That's why I have time in the afternoon to talk to potatoes and things, but not corn. I don't want to talk to corn.
Thank you.
I'm not interested in talking to corn.
You're very loyal to the proper diff. Yes.
Right. Exactly. But I think that when the deal is reached, somewhere in there will have to be like, look, we're not going to make any more Bert Kreischer movies. We're not going to have movies based on a comedy routine. And I think that the last deal, they must have included something, because you notice they haven't made a Saturday Night Live character movie in a long time. Because after Wayne's World, it was like, well, what about Coneheads and It's Pat? And we were getting so many of them, and I think that the Molly Shannon Superstar and the Night at the Roxbury guys, and it's been a while. We haven't gotten one, true. So it's probably probably right around 2007, the last strike. So hopefully,
but I don't think we've had an SNL cast as star-studded as those years.
That's true.
To be fair,
yeah.
So I think where you were going with this was, not that you have any inside information, but you're hearing the producers are going to insert a Kreischer clause into whatever agreement does come out with the right. Okay.
That's what I think we need, is a Kreischer clause, and it'll be known as that. It's
forever,
it's like
for eternity.
It's like how everybody calls it Lou Gehrig's disease. It's basically just going to change that. I don't think you're going to like this comment from Sean. He says, "Corn Diff is my hero." Pulper says, "How dare you disparage the corn?" We're going to have to go through it and block everybody.
Yep,
but Waver says, "What a great premise. I will go see The Machine now. Thanks, fellows."
Ooh, think we block him too. What the hell?
My friend Eric says Bert Kreischer caused not only the strike but also the Canadian wildfires. I don't think you know about the Canadian wildfires,
No, I've heard
Cardiff,
though.
because
I've heard.
but you're not experiencing that in Minnesota where you live.
No, no, we're good up here.
Yeah, everything. Of course, everything's great there.
Hmm.
I did notice because I follow you on Instagram. Not as like a stalker. It's open. Everybody can follow you if they want to. I noticed you were in New
Hold
York.
on, let me block you.
Oh no.
Okay, go ahead.
Thanks. You blocked. No, sorry.
I went
You were
to
in
see
New
your
York.
Mets. I went to see.
Yeah,
your
you went and
Mets.
saw my New York Mets. That was the point I was going to make.
Mhm.
And obviously, as I'm sure a lifelong fan of the Minnesota Twins, you wouldn't have been rooting for the Toronto Blue Jays because why would you root for Canada? So you must have been a little bummed out that the Mets didn't win the game you went to.
Yes, I was. But I was very happy because instead of seeing the Mets win, I was able to meet Daniel Bobo Curlin and Stevie Lou.
Oh,
Mhm.
Wow.
They were at the game.
I've never even met Daniel Bobo, and Stevie Lou would be all right. But yeah, I'd like to meet Daniel. I've thought about like trying to actually talk Mets with Bobo. I do like a preseason and a playoff preview, but I think it's got to be one-on-one. I don't think everybody gets Bobo. He's perfect on the Chip Chipperson show. He fits in really well there, but I don't think he fits into a lot of other panels.
But no, if you're doing a Mets show, he wanted to take me down to the Mets Hall of Fame after the game, and Stevie Lou just told me if I do go, it would be probably a 3-hour event because every exhibit would have an entire backstory to it. So unfortunately, I did not have time for that. But he is an encyclopedia of Mets. He was actually annoyed. So we were there. They had the Mets Hall of Fame induction. Al Leiter, Mookie Wilson, their broadcast guys, Gary Cohen,
Howard Rose, the radio voice, and Gary Cohen. Yeah.
So they were being inducted, and Bobo seemed annoyed that we were talking during the speech. So we had to actually head back to the mezzanine to have a beer and chat for a while.
You guys are talking while the radio voice of the Mets is thanking his family. Come on, Cardiff.
Yes, delaying the game. That's what they were doing.
Super chat. My lost interest. Corndiff is corn. Cardiff is not a car. That is true. That is actually a
very
fact.
good point.
Yeah.
My friend my lost interest.
Yeah. Oh, that's your friend.
Came to see me in Pottstown.
And that was the show where you did the Stuttering John material.
I borrowed a few comedians material at that one. Yes.
So
a famous Walmart bit was debuted.
You haven't. Oh yeah. So yeah. But do you talk about him, or have you stopped talking about the Florida comedian?
I wish the world would stop talking about him. No, I don't care. He's
okay.
He's
well.
Just garbage.
I know he tried to dox you at one point. So
yes, a few weeks ago.
And if you remember, whenever we're talking about a comedian named Chad Zumach, which I don't know if I've ever said his name on my show before, but he does a lot of things that he afterwards will say, yeah, but it was all for the bit. So it was the bit where I was pretending to dox Cardiff. It was the bit where I was pretending that I said that fans of Anthony Cumia beat me up when I really probably just fell off my bike, so
again,
I know, but thoughts and prayers with Chad. I know he was back in the hospital recently, so but
he was drunk streaming yesterday, and his stream just went dead after like 8 minutes. Said his power went out.
Yeah, it's hard to stop talking about him when he does stuff like that. The one where I think Carl showed the stream where Chad, I think he fell asleep in that one too, but he was also like, there's drunk and then there's way too drunk to be recording yourself on the internet. So, but that kind of drunk is probably more entertaining than Bert pretending to be drunk, drinking vodka, and really just fighting. I mean, it's like, I think he just was like, wanted to shoot machine guns and do stuff. I can see selling Bert on doing this movie. I think there was like, we got a great idea.
Wait, you think he had to be sold?
Wow.
You think
whoever came, because look, he didn't come up with it. So whoever came up with, hey, Bert, let's do a movie. He was like, great. Can I have a machine gun? Absolutely. Sure you can. I doubt that. I mean, I didn't check the writing credits, but I'm going to assume that Bert didn't write. It's just based on an idea by Bert Kreischer, or material originally conceived by,
Yeah, I'm sure
some
he
of
got a
that.
creator credit.
Yeah, he gets a creator credit.
Now, how have we gone 35, almost 35 minutes, and we have not yet addressed shirtless Bert? Why? Why does he feel that is, one of his signature bits, just being
Yeah,
shirtless?
and
Why?
I mean, Will Ferrell did that in Old School. That was like, I mean, and obviously the ultimate fat guy shirt off is probably Chris Farley in the
Yes.
Chippendale sketch. I mean, next to Patrick Swayze. It's like, you fat guys can still take their shirts off. Just know that the best of it was done. But like, I mean, Bert does it for most of this movie. He's walking around Russia with his shirt off. But yeah, I don't. Is it for lack of substance? Is that you think that's probably why he started taking off his shirt?
I think that's the only thing that makes him interesting is that he's
Yeah.
standing like I mean he's not he's a fat dude. He's not but he's not obese. He's not I don't think he's fat enough where it's that funny
Yeah.
or that
Right.
interesting.
It's not
Like
Farley. He's
yeah,
not Farley fat.
no. He's just a fat hairy guy and it's just he just looks like my neighbor mowing his lawn in the summer. And that's not I don't find that interesting either.
Well, if you were to collaborate with your neighbor and asked if he would possibly develop a shirtless lawn mowing film, I feel like you might be able to generate at least $4 million in the opening weekend. I feel like you might be able to come up with something a little bit better, especially if you put Mark Hamill in it.
I did want to do some yes, Mark Hamill was the big draw here. And then the guy that played the guy to your left, I keep forgetting his name. I used to like him.
Oh, you're talking about the
Yeah,
the
him.
the guy that's young Bert right there. That guy.
That's so he plays young Bert. Yeah,
Yeah, he plays young Bert. Who seems like a fairly likable kid. that guy. But
yeah.
once you get type, they say that Mark Harmon had a lot of trouble getting work for a few years because he played Ted Bundy in a TV movie. And I feel like now that this guy has played Bert Kreischer in a movie, I don't think anybody's going to want to use him in anything for a while. They're like, no, I can't unsee him as Bert,
Mm-hmm.
So, but
Yes.
I don't know. I don't think we're selling you on this movie, Cardiff, but there was
No,
that
I
one
will
person.
I will not. I've watched some shitty movies in my life. I will not
And
watch this one. But
yeah, that's kind of I'm wondering what are some of the worst movies. Have you ever so I've seen bad movies in the theater, this one included, possibly tomorrow as well. But I've never walked out before a movie's over because I'm like, nah, I just want to see it. Have you ever left a movie and then been like, I don't care how this ends?
in the theater only once and I came back in, but it wasn't because I didn't like the movie, it's because I was vomiting.
Oh.
But it was the Blair Witch Project.
Oh, it was just for the camera being too shaky.
Yeah, it was so if you remember that movie, that was very early on the internet, the hype around it. It had a big opening weekend. We went to go see that opening weekend, and we ended up in like the front row.
Oh,
and so yeah, it was a little.
that's a little much.
Yeah, it was a little much, but I did come back in for the ending. But no,
Yeah.
I've left. I've done like triple features at the drive-in and just left for the third one just because it was
Like 2 a.m.
Yeah, I couldn't do it
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
But no, I think I'm always on TV, yeah, for sure. But I think once if I've paid for a movie, I'm committed to watching the movie. There's got to be some redeeming quality in there if I decided to go out and watch it.
Are you worried that one day this will be on a streaming service, or possibly if you're flipping through, more likely, I guess, if you're flipping through cable television, are you worried that you might actually see more than the 2 minutes of this that you saw as the trailer?
No.
You accidentally.
No.
I
have an app.
You have
it's in development, but there
will
be
the Bert alert that
Yes.
makes sure that he never shows up on your screen.
Yes, the machine app. Now I wanted to do so. I apologize. I was driving all day, so I didn't get to do any. I wanted to do some research on this. I wanted to dig into the producers and the writers of this, directors even, and just dig into a little bit of their history and see maybe what led them to this. But But
Yeah.
unfortunately, I did not get to that. But any of the the production crew stand out for you that had a good movie prior to this? Anyone in the credits
Right. No,
stand out?
it wasn't like, the director was somebody that you're like, wait, how did they end up doing this? I mean, it seems like it's that model. I actually have to look up who the director is because now
Was it
but sorry,
Bill
what?
Scorsese?
It was indeed Bill Scorsese,
Yes.
except that he pronounces it Scorsese,
Yes.
which is actually
Russian.
Scorsese. But yeah, I don't think that they're, and look, there's not even, other than Mark Hamill, there's like not other actors where you're like, what are they doing in this? Mark Hamill, I kind of get it because he's
The
like,
kid has
oh,
been in stuff. The guy who played young Bert, I know he's been in a
right.
bunch of like teenage, I want to say like early 2000s stuff, like, but he can't be that old.
Yeah.
But I know he's been in stuff, and he's just that funny, dopey guy. Like he'd be like the Stifler of the 2010 era, I guess.
Right. So yeah, so this director, Peter Atencio is his name. He is a TV director. He directed Key and Peele, so he's been around comedy before, and yet he still made this movie.
And he decided to stop doing comedy with.
Yeah. Well, he did do the Jean-Claude Van Johnson starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, which was something for Amazon. And yeah, so he's only got a few credits there. There's like 3 movies, and one of them is that they did that Key and Peele movie, Keanu. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah, someone in the chat, yeah, Keanu.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, so all right, yeah. Oh yeah. So we'll give credit to. I'm always careful. I've learned from your friend Greg Opie Hughes that if you don't know what somebody's name is on the screen, don't try to say it.
I got caught last night.
You got caught by something like Nicholas of
exactly
of the Gurr family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I caught myself just in time, but as soon as it came out, I'm like, okay.
Oh no.
Yes.
How is I noticed, I noticed because the guy who does that Jim and Sam dank memes account on Instagram, Miguel, he noticed that Opie had taken down all of his live streams. Is he not doing that anymore? And if he is, when is Cardiff going to be back with Greg Opie Hughes?
Possibly. I'm going to reach out tonight.
Okay.
I might go on tomorrow if he'll have the vegetables. We haven't been on in a while. I was actually, while I was in New York, I was communicating with the Opster to get on a live beer show. Yes, I was all prepared to do a live beer show, but I'll just say he forgot about me.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I guess I don't know. I know that you guys are tight, and
Yes.
it's very interesting. You want to talk about career arcs? It's very interesting, though, that I'm glad that someone has embraced you, even if maybe he's also embraced the other vegetables. 'Cause he's had like corn diff, and he hasn't had wheat diff on there, has he?
No,
Oh,
but
okay.
Cardiff has been on. But
Yeah.
as much as I hate the imposters, we work well together. We're fun on that show. I enjoy that.
Yeah. No.
But Opie knows who the real star is.
Obviously,
Yes.
and I think he also notices the super chats. He notices
Yes.
the difference on Thursday. Principled Uncertainty, who I know from the WATP universe. I love Christian, but the gray fleck in his right eyebrow is triggering every one of my neuroses. Cardiff, would you like a fun fact? My understanding is that you enjoy fun facts.
I love fun facts. What debilitating disease has caused that? Please go ahead.
So it's actually not that. It's a Bert Kreischer level moment of me being really stupid, although I wasn't drunk. The cable guy was at my house, and he was looking around. Cable guy was trying to I take him down in the garage. We're following a wire around, and I just wasn't looking. And was an exposed pipe right there. I just whacked myself in the head, and I saw stars. And I still have the gray eyebrow like 12 years later. I didn't. If you see photos of me from like 2010 earlier, I didn't have it. But so that's the fun fact. It was blunt
Very
force trauma.
strange.
I think that the cable guy was trying to rob me, but I didn't pass out. So
Very interesting.
yeah, well,
Very
it was a fun fact. It wasn't supposed to be
It is
fascinating.
no, it is a fun fact. I
Yeah.
like that.
Well, if you have any fun facts, I'm always interested in anytime you want to share them. Really.
I will if I come up with one, I will.
Okay.
I will
And
blurt it out probably halfway through one of your sentences. Yes. Oh, hello, Caitlin Hatley.
Caitlin Hatley, and then there's a disparaging.
What's her
comment
last
on
name?
Her.
Hatley's her middle
Hooer.
name. Okay.
Yeah, and then the hooer, as they would say on The Sopranos. I agree with Blind Mike that Mark Hamill is an awful actor. Even Bert was better than him. Wait a minute, Caitlin, you saw this movie? I'm only just now seeing comments from you. I didn't know that I would ever. I thought I was going to live. I don't know. I'm 47, so I figured I have maybe 20 more good years. I didn't think I figured I'd go the rest of my life. I'd never meet anybody that also saw this movie. I want to hear more about what Caitlin Hatley thought. But Brett Hatley, her husband, I don't think that's really Caitlin. He retired from broadcasting, didn't he? Just recently.
Did he retire?
I thought he said he just wasn't going to do anything. He wasn't going. Well, he wasn't going to host anything. So maybe
did he feel the need to make an announcement too?
Yeah, well, it's probably just.
Did he have a press conference?
Just so Shuley would talk about it. I think that was probably it. Yeah, that was sort of like the last gasp of. I continued to listen to the Howard Stern show, and I enjoyed it very much for a number of years. And there's a point where I'm like, oh, it's not as good as it used to be, but it was still kind of okay when Brent was soft swinging with his wife. But it was really the pandemic made the show really difficult for me to listen to.
That's when I bailed. I think when Brent showed up was kind of, and not because of him, but for me that was kind of the show just started really. It just wasn't. I started getting annoyed well before that, where every interview did become a therapy session.
Yeah,
and it was bad then. We're even worse now, but
yeah. Whenever I hear one of those, I always send it to I was gonna say our friend, but our mutual acquaintance Carl. I always let him know, like, oh yeah, Stern's asking Gene Simmons, if he resents his mother, and it's like, no, I love my mother. She survived the Holocaust and moved to New York from Israel and raised, she had like 2 jobs and, worked and it's always like, yeah, but you hate your parents, right? And usually the people are like, no, I don't. And most interviews kind of turn into that still. And that's the only time I'll ever listen to Howard is if there's an interview that seems interesting. So I'm like, oh, Kiss is going to be on. I want to hear what they have to say. Gene Simmons tells good stories. Oh my God, Metallica's on. And it always turns into like the therapy session. And I was like, all right. I mean, I kind of wanted to hear them.
Even I think it was yesterday. So I got Sirius back in the car again. Free trial. The free trials never seem to end. So I skip by every once in a while. He was talking about the Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary that's on Netflix, and even in that, he was doing therapy on the comments on Twitter about because Arnold talked about his father being a Nazi and Howard was analyzing that, and there was an interesting, I think it was Tuesday morning, he was very interesting. He was talking about Peloton, and then he had a very interesting caller. I forgot what it was.
He does like
it was me.
Oh wait, Cardiff Electric was on Tuesday.
Cardiff Electric was on Tuesday.
I'll be all right. That's going to get me to download Howard. That's bigger than Metallica or Kiss being on. I'm glad you let me know that.
It's on Dabblers. If you want to hit the clip,
never find it there.
I got a Stuttering John and a Dabbleverse mention on Howard Stern. It might be off the app. Actually, if you have the app, I would be curious if it did make the replay. I think people are asking in Dabblers if they removed it just because of the mention of Stuttering John.
Mention of Stuttering John. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, yeah, I'll we can talk off air, and you can let me know like what time it was, and I'll see if I can find it because the one time I ever really wanted to hear something from Howard in the last few years was he went off on Wendy Williams. And they took it out of all the replays, even the West Coast replay. Like it only aired that one time.
Yeah.
Because I think she made fun of how he only works a few days a week.
I remember I heard something this week too, and it was It was infuriating, and I got angry when he was on America's Got Talent and he was swooning over the stutterer, and not in the same way Stuttering John got angry at it, but it
Yeah.
was the way he just the whole 360 or 180 with him, I guess. But it was so. Do you remember? I don't know when it was, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, when Gary Baba Booey Delabate became involved in civil politics or civic politics.
Oh yeah, he was like on the board of his town in Connecticut, or he ran
Yes,
for it. Yeah,
for
sure.
Parks and Rec. Do you
Yeah,
remember the beating he took from Howard about that?
yeah. Yeah, almost as much as when he had to stay home when there was Hurricane Sandy because he had to make sure his trampoline didn't blow away.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. So the beating he took on that, where are you going to have the time? It's going to distract from the show. Why are you doing it? Waste of time. It was weeks of content for the show. Somehow, so they were playing clips of people going to like city hall meetings and public meetings and stuff. And using the fake names, I need a cock is here, and Mike Hunt and all that stuff. So they were playing
yeah,
clips of that, and then Gary came in to talk about his time, as a civic politician or a board member, whatever he was, and just hearing Howard swoon over him, that's so amazing that you did that. I can't. How did you find the time to do that? So great. At least you got something done. Contribute to your community. I'm like, how can one person be just change so much? What was the real Howard, I guess, is the question.
yeah. I know. Was he always this guy? But then
Was an act before? Is it an act now? Is it old age? Is it?
yeah, like what in the history of that show is the last time someone rode the Sibian? Which, for people that aren't as in deep in the Howard Stern show, it's a machine for self gratification for the ladies. Yeah, a machine. Sorry, porn stars would ride it, and when they first started on Sirius XM, that was exactly the sort of content that I think people were looking for.
Where is it now? That's the question.
If I had to guess, it's at Gary's house. I'm just a hunch, but it's I don't know. There's like a warehouse somewhere, or no, Howard didn't want to have a warehouse because he wanted to throw everything away.
Oh yeah, I remember that when they were
that Bobo.
archiving.
That's like the alternate universe Bobo is the Howard Stern Bobo versus the O&A Bobo. I think he wanted like Howard's chair or something, and but where is the Sibian? I don't know. I think somebody in the Dabbleverse should know where it is, or at least be able to find out.
I legitimately proposed to Stuttering John to do a Howard Stern convention.
Yeah.
Like, legitimately sent him this idea. Like, you should, like, you obviously can't call it the Howard Stern. Come up with something to call it, but you get all those people to get, like, the people that would show up for autographs, see some of the stuff they'll bring, all those guys still. I would pay to take a picture with the popcorn tin if Stuttering John brought that.
In terms of giving money to whackpackers, Eric points out that Bobo, this is Howard Stern Bobo, just cut his price on Cameo. Oh. And if you listen to the show since he's been on Cameo, his cameos are like 8 minutes long. So I think you'll get your money's worth. But
how High Pitch is doing with Cameo.
Well, I mean,
he was a Cameo millionaire for a while.
Yeah, but I think he had to stop talking about it because he was also collecting disability. Yes. And you got to meet the great High Pitch Eric. That was in Pottstown, right?
I saw his car. You want to see my car?
Hey, Potato, take a ride.
Come see my car.
That sounded more Jackie, my voice. So
no, that was we know what you were trying to do. But yes, it was a little Jackie-ish.
It was a little, yeah. But I didn't do the. But that's all right. So that must have been exciting. See, I went to. When they used to do those, the stars of satellite radio, I think they had to start calling it. I went to one of those here in LA, and it was like, I thought it was going to be fun, but then it's like, oh, but it's really a bunch of people who shouldn't be on stage telling jokes. So Yucko was there, and his shtick is entertaining for a little bit. I mean, the foul mouthed clown for a little bit, but. I think that Cameo really makes sense. Have you ever thought about Cardiff Electric on Cameo?
No.
No,
If anybody asks me to say something, I'll say it.
that's true. I got you to record a whole game for me, like in the
Yeah,
space of like two
people
hours.
message me stuff all the time. I'll just do it here. I don't care. Just put it in the chat. I'll say it as long as it doesn't end in gers. I'll say it. I do have to be honest. I still feel weird when people give me super chats, and
Yeah.
the fact that I have at one point I had like 100 and something people on Patreon giving me money every month still is very strange to me. It's very humbling though.
Well,
Yeah.
so many people have Patreon, and it's impressive people who do well with it. I have never put
Oh
anything
wait,
up on
hold
Patreon.
on, Christian. This is
Yeah,
for Bjorn Cray.
he asked for the beautiful Cardiff smile, which is for for anybody who just listens to who are these podcasts, because I think you have to pay to usually watch it. But when we're recording it, it's using the same program, StreamYard. It is very distracting once you come on because you flash those pearly whites, and it's like I don't even know what I was talking about because look at that handsome devil. I mean, let's show him to everybody. Look at the Cardiff smile. This will be the thumbnail for the episode. People don't want to see me. They don't want to see Bert's nipples. They just want that. They just want that smile.
And
What I was
if I could say, esto es boca. Ah. I don't know what that means. I hope I just didn't
yeah. Oh,
insult.
we didn't get tricked.
Yes.
It's like when Brett Favre was on Cameo and he said a bunch of white power stuff.
Yes.
And, yeah, you got to be careful with those things. But I've never put anything on Patreon, not even like a $1 tier, because I just can't have that feeling of look and I still have 0 people who want to give me $1 a month for exclusive content.
So,
I break out into hives when I hear Patrick Michael, Patty C Cups, Patty Pukewater, where he's like locked in at like 12. He's like, I get $70 a month. I can't feed my family on $70 a month. And I'm like, yeah, I completely relate to him in that way.
yeah. And maybe you could take the Cardiff Electric approach. You can. Oh, so apparently it's a football team. Yes, I'm a very big Boca Juniors fan. Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Boca Juniors fan Cardiff confirmed. Yes. That's what you did. Yeah.
I will be a little transparent here. When I first started a Patreon, it was a complete farce. And I think my lowest tier was $35.
Okay, that's pretty great.
But people signed up at $35. So I had to actually make a real Patreon with real tiers. Dr. Steve, I believe, was my first paid patron at $35 a month. And he sat there for months. That man is insane. And I love him.
I love Dr. Steve. He has that voice. And, anytime he comes up, Norton will slip into that voice. But it's interesting because
I think I think everybody's Dr. Steve is Jim Norton's Dr. Steve.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But it seems like everyone who knows him, when they have any mild health concern, they all text him. You were talking about it's Eric Nagel. My friend Zia used to be on there. When she reaches out to Dr. Steve every once in a while, and I know Jim talks about how he does. Have you ever asked Dr. Steve, "Hey, what is this growth on my my potato eye?"
No, I think I feel creepy. I feel like I'm using him if I do that. I don't think I have. I would, and he said anytime you need anything, anytime you have any questions, I had some health concerns earlier, especially when I had COVID. He was reaching out. I'm like, no, I'm good. But if I do have any questions, I'll definitely reach out. I would feel comfortable asking him, no problem. He gave me a rectal exam a couple times, but other than that,
he didn't even put a glove on. I hope.
No. He didn't use his hands. No. But no, I would, but I haven't. It just feels strange. Like, so here's the thing. So just today, Jim Norton announced an appearance in Toronto, for Just for Laughs. And I would like to see a Jim Norton again. And, for a split second, I was like, I wanted to reach out to Dr. Steve. It's like, not for tickets or anything, just, I want to meet Jim.
You want to meet Jim?
Yeah, I want the hookup, and I'm like, you know what? I can't do that.
were you in?
But I'm
Were you in
hoping
New
he'll
York on
watch
a?
this
Yeah.
and he'll just
Oh
do
yeah.
it. Yes, no,
I
that's
mean,
that I couldn't ask
I've
for.
the email that Jim gives out. He really does check the emails in there.
He he
That's how
did.
my friend Zia ended up co-hosting the Chip Chipperson podcast because they
He
had done something like years earlier, and she just wrote to him and was like, "Hey, anytime you want to have me on again." It's like, "Oh, hey, yeah, I remember you. Sure, you know." And I like booked him for Dennis Miller's podcast, reaching out to him first. Which, sorry, praise for me, Cardiff, comes before anything else. Tiger
of
Lily,
course.
Christian, I loved you on Dennis Miller's podcast. Miss that show. Good to hear you again. I miss that show too. Dennis doesn't miss really working, but we have lunch a couple times a year, and
Hmm.
he's very entertaining. And he I'm sure he misses the accolades and the adulation, but he
Well,
doesn't
Den-
appreciate working.
Dennis Miller, future third mic on Subreddit Surfing, Wednesdays at 8 on YouTube. Oh, I wasn't
That's
supposed
true.
to give that out yet.
You
No,
weren't
we were
supposed
supposed
to. You were
to. Oh,
supposed to.
oops,
Yeah.
oops.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, it's I don't like. I don't want to abuse the friendship. I do have a good friendship with Dr. Steve. And
Right. No, you don't want to
wanna
ask him
abuse that
for
one.
favors like that.
Yeah.
But if you were in, were you in New York on a weekday, or did you just go for a weekend? I can't. I wasn't following that closely.
Thursday to Sunday. Thursday.
Oh,
To
okay,
Sunday.
so if you're ever there when he's doing his hour at the Fat Black
At the Fat
Pussycat,
Black, yeah.
yeah, I saw that last year, and even though I know somebody who works with him, I didn't ask for anything. I just bought the tickets, and then I figured out how to ambush him so I could take a picture with him. I'm like, well, what I know about him is that he doesn't hang around. So where would he be waiting for an Uber? So I went down the block and I got a picture with Jim.
I got a picture with Robert Kelly at the Fat Black after a show.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I love Bobby Kelly.
Yeah.
He's
I'd like
all
to meet the
those
skinny Bobby now.
yeah, it would be kind of weird to see him. Anyway, Cardiff. Yeah, we talked a little bit about this Bert movie. I saw it so that not only you didn't have to, but I thought it was one of those like I kind of want to see if it's as bad as I think it is. And the most remarkable thing about it is just how unremarkable it was. It wasn't like train wreck level. They spent money. You know, the continuity, unfortunately, for as bad as the story was, there are no flaws, lacking logic, anything like that. No. So it's just not good, but it's not bad enough to be like, oh yeah, let's have midnight showings of the Machain. You know, it's kind of like Bert. It's very forgettable when it's not directly in front of you.
Will this be like a okay, yeah, no, you said they wouldn't have the midnight showings, but this may become a almost like The Room. There'll be a making of the Machain.
Yeah. People really yeah. The thing about The Room was I moved out to LA. It'll be 20 years in August, and I don't think it was up right when I moved here, but for years there was just Tommy Wiseau bought this billboard for The Room, and it was up there, and I was like, what is this? And finally a friend visited from New York. He's like, what is that movie? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I just always drive by it. And then when you see it for the first time, you're like, wow. Yeah, it's not. Bert's movie is not entertaining in even a Tommy Wiseau way. That's what was missing. Instead of Mark Hamill, Tommy Wiseau should have played his dad. I think it would have been a great movie.
That would have actually been. Someone needs to put him in something.
Yeah, I don't quite know. I mean, they made a movie about making of The Room, and they didn't even put him in it. You know, I can't remember who did that now. It was he got canceled.
James Franco.
James Franco. Yeah. Apparently, you know, when somebody tells you there's 17 on Instagram, don't say that's okay. Just stop talking to them. That's a lesson learned there, I guess.
Yeah. Why did you do this when you? What did that mean when you said? What? That from the accident?
No, that was code for one of your co-hosts. I won't say which one, but I wanted to make sure that they knew that.
Understood.
So, Cardiff, we mentioned subreddit surfing. That's the weekly home for getting people's Cardiff Electric fix. Obviously, you're heard on Who Are These Podcasts? Not nearly enough.
Yes.
Carl's never had you on as like an actual co-host, but then you'd have to listen to bad podcasts and cut them up, and it's probably not worth it.
Yeah, it's I'm in a good spot. I've slid right into a good spot. I come in after the shit usually.
Right, exactly. But is there anything else that people should know? Places they can find you and send super chats or just say hello.
Patreon.com/Cardiff Electric is
Mhm.
a wonderful place to give me money. Again, I still feel weird about that. My YouTube channel
I
and
mean, look,
coming.
you're going to take the money that people
Oh
give you.
yes,
You
yes.
just
I'm
feel
not
weird
giving
about
it
it. Yeah,
back. Yes,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not giving it back. And then my YouTube channel, and then coming soon to my YouTube channel, and then soon its own YouTube channel. I'm working on a show with Bedabbler, uh, tentatively called "Yo Remember the '90s."
Oh,
Yeah.
I do
So
remember the '90s, so
do
it
you?
sounds like it would be up my alley. Yes,
Yes.
I
Good.
very.
Yeah,
Uh,
we just got kind of got nostalgic on a stream one night, and I said, it would be nice to have a. So I used to have fun with some of the old Stern clips, Opie and Anthony clips on my stream, and almost I realized a lot of the people in the Dabbleverse weren't around for those days. They're getting like they're 20 years old and
yeah,
25 years old and listening to Stuttering John now. So kind of I wanted to give some of the context to some of the stuff. The people that were there at the time, and maybe not explain some potato splaining, but
right.
just kind of put some context to some of the stuff. And yeah, I think we started talking about like bulletin boards and kind of the early days of the internet and stuff like that. And it's like I think this would be fun to just kind of go through some stuff and talk. And the '90s it's endless. Much like subreddit surfing, the topics are endless. So we could go. We could get some mileage out of that, and I think it'd be fun. And
Yeah,
don't
and
tell anyone, but I kind of like Bedabbler. He's fun.
all
But don't
right.
tell
Well,
anyone.
there's no way he's going to see this.
No.
Well, if it was
He's
only on
blocked.
my channel, maybe he wouldn't. Oh, he's blocked. So
Yes.
I haven't blocked him yet. So
Well, do it
I
immediately.
do it immediately. Well, he may or may not have seen it. A Principled Uncertainty says, I deleted my Reddit account. It's best viewed through Vinny and Cardiff's
Mm-hmm.
eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what I was going to say, though, you were talking about the streams of Stern clips. You had a very informative one earlier this year where you got to the bottom of the Howard Stern, the plane that crashed in
Oh,
the
the Air
Potomac,
Florida. Yep.
that he didn't actually make the call, that you
Didn't
hear
make
like
the
David
call.
Brenner saying he heard a call, and Dave Grohl is saying
Mm-hmm.
something that actually didn't happen, as it turned out, right?
Yes. Yes. And that was again the help of the Dabbleverse got me all the clips I needed. I think it
Yeah.
was.
Are there holy grail Stern clips that, just are from a time where people weren't taping as much, that it's like, oh, I still really hope that we find this one day, something like that. But, or is pretty much everything out there?
I would say a lot of it's out there. You would be amazed some of the archives I've been given access to, and I wish I had the time or the patience to go through it. But there are some amazing archivists in this universe that we're in, and there's a lot of stuff there. Like I said, they pulled a lot of that stuff. They had access to that. They are documenting almost everything, so a lot of it has been documented. But I'm sure there's stuff that there's no tape of, but there's a lot of cassettes out there of Stern stuff. Yeah, I think the DC stuff would be the hardest to find, but even that there was a lot.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I think from the point that they're on K-Rock, they probably maintained everything. But there's what I guess probably what people want is, when they started having some of the best of content out there, they obviously need to go in and maybe take out some of the colorful metaphors that maybe were used a lot. I mean, there's a word that used to be said under your breath when you were sneezing or something on that show that now you can't say anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably a lot of work to actually take out. The
Yeah.
way that I remember the show, it's like, it's like, oh, this bit is great, but we have to take out a few, 6 or 7 F slurs, as Carl would say.
But I'm sure there's a lot. And again, I don't think we should be editing our history, but
Yeah.
I don't make those decisions. But I think there's a lot of the stuff that, again, especially the DC days, and obviously him in Detroit too. There wouldn't be a lot of tapes because he was just a DJ.
Yeah.
Really, like there was nobody knew what Howard Stern was going to be, right? Like you don't. It's like that, that baseball player you see in A ball, that just an average player. You don't know he's going to be, the next he's going to be Mike Trout or he's going to be
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like I'm gonna have the star of the Binghamton Rumble Ponies sign my, this is the AA affiliate of the Mets. Have him sign a ball. What are the odds that you're picking the one player from
yeah.
that team that's
I've got
actually
I've
gonna
got
make
lots of
it?
I've got lots of worthless signed baseballs if you want them. So
Hey, now that's a stream. You want to show off your worthless signed baseballs? Can you tell whose signature this is? Because I can't. Well, before we go, more people gave you money. Caitlin Hatley again. Apparently, her OnlyFans started at $50 a month, and now it's $5.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Cut of the Jib just
worth every penny, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cut of the Jib just sent a super chat with no comment. I think I'll admit that the first time I ever sent a super chat, I didn't realize where I was supposed to type it. So I sent one of those.
And check out the Cut of the Jib's YouTube channel. He's got some, he's doing some interesting stuff over there.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know the cut of the jib. That's a phrase that Dennis Miller used to say. He would say, like, I like the cut of his jib if it was a guest that he liked. So I would have remembered that. So it must be hard to have this universe that really you're keeping going all by yourself, keeping all these names and all these networks and, but what I appreciate is that you take the time to help out a fledgling little show like mine.
Hold on. I have to correct you because that clip of you saying you're holding it up all by yourself and me just nodding in agreement will have me destroyed within minutes.
Do you think that somebody has already clipped it out to send to Carl?
Probably, yes. But no,
so,
the Dabbleverse is a very supportive universe. And this is where, I've gotten into a few arguments with some of the Chad Zumach MLC people. This is a universe that does not tear people down. It's not, we don't attack people. We just like to have fun. And that's what it's all about. It's about having fun.
Yeah.
And there's a big supportive group around it. And like I said, if I needed a kidney, I'm pretty sure someone in the Dabbleverse would give me one. I might not want it. It might be worse than the one I have, but still, someone would give me one.
Now the Cardiff P.O. box is just going to have all these kidneys showing up at it. Yeah.
I have not gone P.O. box yet. That I'm a little scared to do.
I know. I know Carl has one, and I'm just trying to figure out how big of a box I should shit into before I mail something to him. But
well, they've refused my first 4, so I can give you the size that they won't accept. I'm working my way down.
we'll figure it out from there.
And just for the record, sending feces in the mail is a federal crime.
Yeah, and I believe whatever country anyone lives in North America, I think that is the case. But it's just as true in Minnesota as it is here in Los Angeles. Principal Uncertainty says, I've just remembered who Cardiff's voice reminds me of. Mito Kerr fakes his own death to reemerge as a potato. It all makes sense now. And look, the super chats just keep on coming. This is why Kevin Brennan's shows go on for so long. He keeps getting super chats. My lost interest said, this is fun. Take my kidneys. All right. So now you know who to ask, Cardiff, if you ever need a kidney. But I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. And obviously, even fake Cardiff, who wrote to me, basically understood when I wrote, because I wrote to somewhere I shouldn't have, and I had already talked to you, and fake Cardiff wasn't up to snuff on the fact that you and I had actually set this up and that we were willing to do it. And he basically, so I sent the link.
Are you taking pictures of a super chat right now?
No, I'm trying to read it from my phone. Yeah. And he said, hey, I'm not sure if I can, but I'll try. I'm always willing to prop up lesser shows like yours and WATP, but I wish you'd asked me first. So,
that was me.
That was you. Okay.
Yeah, the other one was the fake Cardiff. That was me.
Oh no, that's I've just confused. Been had by multiple Cardiffs.
There's lots of us.
Yeah. Well, and other diffs as well. But so I'm glad that we've finally gotten a chance to meet, so that whenever the next time is that I'm on WATP. You can remember that we've talked before. And,
well, not likely, but
not likely.
I'll try.
But, and at one point, I thought you've started playing the games on that show where you try to win by making sure everybody guesses the wrong one. And I liked when you were possibly able to be bribed to give the answers ahead of time, but now you want to win. So like if I send you a super chat to help me cheat, that's not as interesting to you. You want everybody else to lose.
You got it.
I got it.
See, I do post all the games on my Patreon, and there was a part of me wanted to do it kind of before.
Yeah.
The episode came out, so anyone on my Patreon could kind of automatic, but I decided not to. I wanted to maintain the integrity of the games. That's very important.
And yet, Carl can still watch them ahead of time if he wanted to. We just have to believe that he doesn't.
Yes. Well, I do keep the view counter going, so I can see if it's been watched. I don't. I just upload it and I make sure it's 0 views before showtime. So he may be ugly, club-footed, crooked teeth, stupid, all those things that you've said about him. He may be all those things, but I believe he is honest.
No, I think that's true, but I know that the way you feel about Carl is the way the drummer from the Misfits felt about Carl. The story that he told. Well, we'll leave you with this comment still on the screen. We love you, Cardiff, by Thy Nerd Nation. Not enough to send a super chat, but they still loved you. Yes. So that's kind of the important thing.
I appreciate the sentiment.
So social media, Twitter, it's just Cardiff Elect, right?
Yes.
And is that the same for Instagram?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think I kept that the same. But yeah, I could not get I could not get Cardiff Elect. There is a Cardiff Electric out there somewhere besmirching my name, but I am Cardiff Elect.
The utility company in Cardiff in like the UK, they're like trying to.
Yeah, I think it is it's an electrical contractor in Wales. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's where people can find you. And I noticed that when you were at the Mets game, you made sure to post pictures of the Piazza jerseys. So fun times following Cardiff. I want to make sure we got all your super chats, and I think we did. So thank you, Cardiff. Thank you, everybody. And I've gotten a lot of subscriptions from people who came over to the Bladtcast, so I appreciate that. Maybe one day I'll take super chats. But I look forward to whatever's next for Cardiff. I really enjoy Subreddit Surfing and those streams. Anytime you want to go on and play Negative Creep, I'm probably going to listen to it. It's a great Nirvana riff. So I always appreciate it.
It's on my Patreon. I've uploaded all those for everybody.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
See, it's worth the $35.
Yes. There's cheaper tiers though.
Oh, there are cheaper tiers.
Yes.
Oh, it's even better.
Now.
Yes. In any case, thank you, Cardiff Electric. Thank you, everybody in the chat, all the super chats. I let Cardiff keep every penny of that. So, don't worry about giving me money. I'm fine. I just do it for the art, like Bert Kreischer. So that is all the time we have for now. And our next Bladtcast, I will be on a rooftop with our friend Liev across from Angel Stadium, ostensibly talking about Ted Lasso, but mostly just drinking beers and telling dumb stories. Yes, we recorded it already, so look for that. That won't be this time. That'll be next time on the Bladtcast.